So I've had some running around, a couple of takes on this, kind of picking up on quite a few different things. And first, I do want to recognize that there are quite a few new people that are picking up following me, and I want to acknowledge that. First, thanks for being here. And I'm going to be speaking to you a little bit more in depth in my next video when I do some energy forecasting later on today. Also, this is for entertainment purposes only, and any people mentioned are alleged. Getting down to the business of some psychic readings here. And I think the first thing I want to say on reading energies and the psychic messages is that yesterday, I checked out. I gave myself permission to unplug and check out, and I deep tanked myself. And I was able to take a look at the forecasting for us, and holy cow, people. Like this whole landscape that we're in with national events, states events, and national events could not be better positioned with the astrology we're in, and I will speak to that a little bit later on today. Next, as I have been moving around, those of you who are more sensitive, as I have been moving around in my day, I am noticing there's this like urge and this push to begin to drive forward again because we've been in this silent stasis, right? And there is that energy and it does feel good. And every time I go to do it, I start feeling nauseous and headachy. So something is going on with don't push it. Yes, we've got some forward motion, but don't push it. The other thing that I am noticing happening is we have made a step where I can feel it in the energies and from spirit world of we're no longer in that place of the full on deep silence with nothing moving and it being very rich. The deep silence is still there, but there is a forward motion now happening. We have moved past the fulcrum point, and there is a feeling of things having swung as far as they could possibly swing for what I call in my work, the toxic financial patriarchy. They've swung as far as they can swing. And there's as I've been moving around today, there's been a feeling of holy crap, when this thing starts, it's going to be a few raindrops, and then the storm just rolls through. I do want to share with you a little bit of what I picked up in my meditation because there were a few pretty good markers there. The first thing that happened is when I plunked down into my meditation, usually I have a few minutes just to kind of gather myself. I literally sat down in meditation and spirit world, boom, they put me in the middle of the Oval Office. For a moment, I was like, where am I? I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the Oval. They put me in the middle of the Oval Office and there was a distinct feeling of no one's here. No one's home. So that could be right now, because I did not feel the dumpster fire anywhere. That could be right now, or that could be an impression of what's going to be coming fairly soon. Not sure. Could be one or the other. Because quite frankly, nobody's home. But so that's kind of like a metaphor thing, but spirit team, there's a feeling of that being literal. And if you remember, there was a psychic part of the reading when things were moving towards the big I day. I did pick up on a feeling of oh my God, there's going to be a point where nobody's in the office for about 4 days. That feels much more visceral. That came back on the radar screen today. The other thing that I'm picking up on is, remember how I said right around the 14th, Valentine's Day, there would be more talk of Blue Lotus and bringing her back. And I'm beginning to feel that more. I noticed in some of the comments, people saying we're not talking about her. We're not talking about her. We need to start talking about her. And it felt like she had been completely erased off the screen. Well, the last 24 hours, I can't, she's been flitting around on the screen. But the last 24 hours, I've had this feeling of it's time to start talking about her again. And then I'm looking, it's damn, it's the 14th tomorrow. Valentine's Day, the 14th. And I had a feeling of Valentine's Day this year was going to be a pretty good day this year. And I think that's that swinging of the action. I want to speak to impact zone, depth and breadth. A lot of people are oh my God, is that, literal violence? I'm no, let's not put energy there. The energy that I got from the impact zone, the depth and breadth of the impact zone was political and corporate. And that's the feeling I've been getting walking around today. I've been having this very physical, nauseous feeling of like, we are so not prepared for how big this thing is when it begins to get rolling and unraveling. So we need to be ready for that. There's also a repeat of the feeling and sensation of time to be more aware of what's going on through the window, but not being attached to it. So that whole thing of like, oh, there's the window, but step away from the window because of the, I'm going to say, nonviolent impact zone. We want to be aware of what's going on, but we want to distance ourselves and not be too attached to it because the volume on it it's going to be intense. Again, that nauseous feeling that I'm getting from my stomach. Oh, popcorn on my counter is a tell. Some of you guys were like, you noticed the Act 2 part of this. The popcorn on my counter is a tell. Like when I went to make my tea this morning and I looked over at the popcorn and I literally went to physically pick it up and like, it feels glued to my counter. Like, I can't pick the popcorn up. The messaging went from not just leave the popcorn on the counter, it went to you're going to begin to use the popcorn in the next 2 days. Like there was a feeling and a sensation of like, oh my God, I'm going to like open up and use that thing for some reason. Here's the other one. Spirit team has been talking to me repeatedly about how this is not going to happen the way we think it's going to happen. And it's not going to happen the way we expect it to happen. I don't know. And I think this goes back to that thing where they keep telling me it's like, we can't interfere. We can't interfere with your process. So we can only show you so much. You need to live through this. The living through this is what affects you and changes you and creates that whole resistance of the oomph to push forward and do different things. And Spirit Team is like, that's part of the reason we can't tell you. We can't reveal that to you. And they're like, and some of the potentials are still unknown. Like a lot has been decided. A great deal has been decided, but not all of the potentials have been decided. So there's this fine line Spirit World is walking with us as far as preparing us as much as they can prepare us without interfering with our process with this whole thing and our soul level walks on the planet. So that's a real fine line to be working. Oh, they do want to say, though, that even though it's very silent, they are very there. Like there's been a lot of hurt happening in human world, like where did my spirit team go? Why am I not getting any messages? And they want to be very clear. They are there. They are there with you, but they can only reveal so much because if they reveal too much, then there's an interference thing that happens. And then that's not why we're here, because we're here for our soul level growth on the planet, especially through something as instrumental as this, especially we're like literally at that fulcrum tipping point, right? We're right there at that fulcrum tipping point, and Spirit World cannot mess with that. Okay. So the back end of the message that I can give you here is that we're moving out of that. The news is no news. Like that was my last message. The news is there is no news. And now it's the news is there's partially no news, but there's movement. And the feeling I get is that movement is powerful. And it's not going to be messed with. And this is happening and it is moving forward. And as you move through your day, you can, like, at least I can feel that sensation of like, holy cow, this thing is going to happen. And it's imminent. It's soon. So that's what I've got for you for now. That's what I will leave you with. And I am going to be coming back very soon with that forecasting because it is so interesting, so instrumental. It will help you with your positioning of what's going to be happening over the next 10 days, not just on the large scale, but for you personally, individually with your soul path right now with what's happening. We've got some very precious, valuable, energetic things happening right now that are just, it's kind of like, chef's kiss kind of stuff right now. So I can't wait to share that with you. I will be back in a relatively short period of time after I do some sessions and get some video work done. And yeah, we just got to keep doing the best we can with what we've got to work with. And I will see you in the next video. Mwah.